are back with another jam-packed episode of Lunes Live. Your favorite compas got you covered with everything that happened, including our NFL Week 5 takeaways. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff all over the league. The Texans beating the Bills, the Packers beating the Rams. A lot of interesting storylines. What is going on with Sean McDermott's what they decided to do at the end of that game? Dak Prescott wins the game late. A lot of questionable things happening over the NFL, but it wouldn't be the NFL without some craziness. But all right, Gilberto, don't you have a question for our viewers and or listeners?
I do, Fernando, but what do you know about football? You're a baseball reporter. You've been busy covering baseball playoffs, covering this rivalry between the Padres and the Dodgers. What do you know about NFL Week 5? Let me handle that and give some hot takes. Your Chargers are on the bye week anyway. So for the engagement question of the week, Fernando, you probably don't know, but every team, the NFC North, is above 500. Did you know that? Even Caleb Williams, your favorite rookie quarterback, the Bears are 3-2. The Packers 3-2. My Vikings are 5-0. Amazing, right? And the Lions are 3-1. That's everybody's team. The team of compas on the beat are 3-1. So I guess is that the best, division in the NFL? Is a little too soon. Maybe you don't believe in the Vikings like I did at one point. Let me know in the comments if that's the best division in the NFL or you disagree. Maybe it's I don't know, the AFC North. Not really to me. But they might have three teams in the playoffs. The NFC North, that is. Let me know in the comments.
The West is now looking more competitive, except for the Raiders, but like the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs. By the way, I think Dan is a Vikings fan now. Every game he's cheering for them. He's like, come on, Vikings, let's go. So he gets excited watching Vikings games now because of you. So
that's
pretty funny to watch.
I want him to be happy because they're in some difficult times for his football, I guess, seasons.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But all right, let's go with the intro.
Compas on the beat. Let's get it. Let's go.
Yeah. So we're compas.
Yeah, we are.
There you go. Hey.
There you go. Okay, all right. We got proof right there.
Some guy that seems like he's asleep. Need you to wake up, Gilbert. There's a lot of energy.
Come on, Gilbert. Let's go.
Come on. Dan and Dago is at Moe's.
I'll show you. I'll show you. I got it right.
Okay, that's it. You guys, I am done with mine, but that's couldn't get better than a 2026 6th-round pick swap for a 7th-rounder. So
freaking love you, Chad.
Hey, dude. Cool, man.
Compas on the beat, man. Derwin James signing off, man. Watch Compas on the beat, man.
Ooh, welcome to Compas on the Beat. I'm Fernando Ramirez. I cover the Chargers for the Sporting Tribune. With me, as always, my co-host, my tag team partner, Gilbert Manzano, covers the NFL for Sports Illustrated. What's up, bro?
What's up, Fernando? I know we are in a time crunch because we got to get to Monday Night Football, but I actually want to hear from you. How have you been covering the MLB playoffs? MLB doesn't sound good like the NFL or NBA, but Major League Baseball playoffs, the big leagues. You are in the big leagues there, so I'm just curious, how's it going being a baseball reporter? You did have your first locker room champagne celebration. That was cool to see it for you. So welcome back to Compas on the Beat. By the way, you've been holding it down while you've been gone for a bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely. It's been a crazy couple of weeks for sure. I mean, last week it was nuts just to see that. I'm just not used to all the celebrating, I guess. Like, they win one series and it's like, oh, let's go celebrate. Let's get all excited. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, let's do it. I was in the locker room. I did get hosed down a couple of times. It wasn't like the players threw it on me. It was just the fact that I was standing right there. I did go in there with a plastic, like a plastic bag to kind of cover my phone. But then at one point, you just couldn't see. And I just threw it off and I did that. So I was definitely, it's definitely been interesting. I mean, the games go by so fast. Last Wednesday's game, in 2 hours and 5 minutes, they were done. And it was like, wow, okay. Like, that was the game where Michael King punched out 12, and it was just a fast-paced game. I know last night's game was a lot longer.
There was a delay in the field, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just didn't think about all the aspects that it come to it. But I got to see a buddy of mine that covers the Braves, and I was like, "How is it?" He's like, "Bro," he's like, "This takes a lot out of you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I bet." He's like, "You guys have it all cushy. You guys have 17 games to cover." and then it's
Sometimes
the
more.
playoffs, and then you guys are done. I'm like, oh really? I was like, what about transactions? This, that. He's like, bro, I'm telling you, like, no, okay, I do not drink, so no champagne going into this mouth.
And if
I do not
Fernando's
drink
doing that,
alcohol.
I'll have a lot of questions too.
Yeah, so
In that manner.
so yeah, so it's just it's something different. You're writing a lot. Like right now, I'm trying to work on a Machado, Manny Machado like leadership piece. I saw he pulled everybody to the side. He's kind of gotten a weird rap for some of the stuff that he did. I mean, I get it, I understand it, but now, like after he pulled all the guys off to the side last night, I thought, oh, it'd be good, perfect. So that's why I kind of had to delay right now, and I went and I spoke, and he's like, it's not about me, it's about the team, it's about the. I'm like, all right, cool, like I get it. So
Boring.
yeah, he didn't want to talk about himself, so I was like, all right, that's interesting. But yeah, just it's different to be, and then you and I get to talk about one game for the whole week. Here you literally only talk about it for 12 hours, because then there's another game the next day. So that's really interesting. Like today in the locker room right now, they were asking them about what happened last night, and the guys are like, we're over it. Like it's time for us to get them here at home. We hope our fans aren't like that and doing whatever they were doing. I mean, I have no skin in the bone, so I don't care. I thought that was fun. Well, no, I won't say it was funny, but like the way Dodger fans and the Dodger fans and the Padre players were kind of going back and forth, I actually thought it was pretty fun. I thought it was funny. Obviously, not throwing the stuff on the field, but still, just very interesting to say the least. Sorry, that was a long-winded question or answer, but
you're
it's
good.
definitely interesting.
And yeah, I wish we had more time to kind of break down the stories. But one thing that you said from there, sometimes I kind of like that you kind of, don't try to overanalyze a game. That's the one thing in football we kind of have trouble with, like,
because it's a week long.
Yeah, like we're getting to the point to like with the first month in September is like, okay, all right, what do we see in these teams? What moves they made in the draft? The new hires, okay, how are they looking? And then in October hits, it's kind of like, all right, we kind of know where they're going. We can't look too far ahead to the playoffs because the playoffs are not until maybe 3 months from now. So we're kind of in the stage where like, don't think big picture, don't even look back, but take it one game at a time and move on quickly. So from baseball, I mean, that's kind of the point of view for October and football. And I'm gonna get to one of these comments here because it made me laugh, but also very wrong. Uncle Jam's Army saying Gilberto's a guy who shows up at the carne asada saying he's a Cruz Azul fan. Nobody likes that guy. First of all, nobody likes the guy who's watching Liga MX. Get out of here. At least Fernando watches Premier English Premier crap, Italia, Germany. I don't care. That's better soccer. If you're watching Liga MX, get the hell out of here. But if I had to pick a team, Chivas all the way. Get the hell off my lawn.
Oh, there you go.
Chivas.
There you go. Yeah, that's actually a really good one.
I can't name one player besides maybe the goalie from those good
Chicharito.
teams. He used to play for the Chivas? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, and then our boy, I should have said, but our boy from that one reality show.
Oh, yeah.
I already forgot his damn name. But yeah, go Chivas.
Marco Fabian.
There you go.
Yeah.
On the cover of FIFA with Leo Messi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just completely different. And like I said, there's always something new to write. So you're not writing about the same stuff over and over again. So every day is different. I will give baseball credits or baseball players one thing, though, that I completely like. I'm sorry, but NFL players complain about how much they have to speak to us and everything. Baseball players have to do it twice a day.
Yeah.
They do it before the game, and then they do it after the game.
They have them doing like TikTok interviews with people content creators on TikTok. They're all over baseball. I see that. Like especially the Dominican players and the Latino players. They have a lot of content on TikTok. I'm like, oh, they're getting asked to do a whole lot.
Yeah, like and you can tell like these guys are walking in, and then they have like a little stage set, like the Padre, like. And they're like, oh, take one or double up for the next guy. And like stupid stuff like that obviously credit to the social media content creators or whatever. But yeah, they're on camera constantly. And I'm sure I can tell, like, you can tell when we walk in the locker room, they're just like, oh, crap. And they all like kind of scurry away. So I get it, but I give them a lot of credit. They answer women like, you have the NFL, and I'm sorry, but I just didn't like what came out last week. I won't get too much into it. But I just thought that was really like.
Yeah. Whenever we get back, we gotta definitely talk about the locker room stuff. But
well, yeah. I mean, I think it's a way for the players to control their own content and do all that. I don't really think they're all that focused on they looked at whatever this or that. But you saw Torrey Smith's tweet.
I did, and I've been having things to say, but I'll wait for us.
No,
to
I'm
get
sure.
together
Yeah. Let's get into
week 5.
Yeah. Kay, just to answer your question, no, Dan will not be here today. Dan did tell me though tomorrow. I don't know if you guys are all jumping on or not, but Dan said he will be available.
Oh yeah, I'll get out of here. We tried our hardest to get Dan on last week, but
by the way, when Dan jumps on, show him some love because last week was a tough week for him. So just show him. Everybody show Dan some love. I know you guys always do.
He gave me the maybe, and then obviously maybe means no, and then he told me no, I can't.
Yeah, he wasn't. I think he messaged me and he's like, he was like barely leaving at like 7:45 from work. So I felt bad for him. And then he had
hurry up. Angel's right. We got to talk about this.
Oh, sorry.
Because
he had to come. He had to come back and pick
Mahomes.
me up at Petticoat Park, so I felt bad for him. But all right, my bad.
But
let's get into
I'm just kidding. I know we all have our busy things to do.
Let's get into it. Gilbert, bye week or are we starting with that or?
Yeah, we could discuss the LA team. I know not much on the Chargers, but I see questions. So let's talk about the Rams real quick, and then we'll go to the Chargers.
Okay.
Answer some questions.
Rams lose kind of a tough game. I mean, they lost 24-19. They fell to 1-4. Bye week is coming up. Obviously, effort was led by Eckler. It's not a privacy issue, just players trying to monetize content, screwing over fans. Yeah. Oh, well, I don't agree or disagree with that. I'm just reading what Uncle Jam's Army said. The Rams, man, dude, they're fighting, and they're fighting hard, and unfortunately, I mean, they should be winless right now. I mean, they were able to beat the 49ers, but they shouldn't have even won that game. They willed themselves into that game. Yesterday, I thought was a very tough game. That defense for Green Bay is suffocating. McKinney, again, 5 straight games with an interception. You know what? He credited Matthew Stafford after the game, and he said, look, Matthew was looking me off for a lot of the stuff that he was doing. I couldn't believe I got that one. The one that he got was kind of easy. He kind of threw up a punt in there and kind of caught it, but the Packers defense was suffocating. They scored 1 touchdown off of that. Jordan Love. What do you think of Jordan Love? Like, I didn't like that game from him yesterday. Like he made some good throws to the tight end, to Musgrave and some other ones, but then you have the boneheaded play when you're backed up in your own end zone. You almost pull a Dan Orlovsky, but instead you kind of throw it away in a sense, I guess. And the defender just comes up, intercepts it, and walks it back into the end zone. Just what did you think of that? Yeah, Kay, the Rams interior defensive line is great. They're building something there with that. My bad.
Yeah, and I want to get to Kay's comment too, but on the Packers front, like I think with Jordan Love, we're so quick to forget that he's a young player that had a bunch of mistakes early on in his first year starting. And then he had like that one stretch where he had 8 or 9 games where he was just doing everything right. Remember, he played against the Chargers and he kind of took off. He didn't look back. He wasn't turning the ball over. He was spreading the ball around, making some awesome throws. And then he had the way that his first season ended was a pick to the 49ers to end the playoff game. And that's like, okay, that's the guy we kind of knew early on who kind of panics. He presses, he throws some dumb plays. He really has a lot of trust for the arm there. And then this year with the injury kind of coming back, he's been having some of those early glimpses of like forcing that football. And that was an ugly pick 6, like you mentioned, Fernando. But then after that, like for the second and third quarter, like he really took off. Like he had those touchdown throws to Tucker Kraft, had a bomb to Jaden Reed. And like it was good play for about 2 quarters. I think Josh Jacobs did enough to kind of hold it down. But it was up and down, kind of tell 2 halves. So I really like Jordan Love a lot. And real quick, Fernando, it was actually a good week for the quarterbacks who got paid this offseason. And I looked it up because everybody's crying about the financial boom here for quarterbacks. But from the 6 quarterbacks that got paid new contracts of $45 million or more per season, 4 of them went 4-0. Jared Goff was in a bye week, and Tua Tagovailoa is on injured reserve. And the Dolphins need Tua, so maybe some points there. But Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, they all won their games, and they all did in good fashion. So take that, Sam Darnold fans and Justin Fields fans and Geno Smith fans. The star quarterbacks making a lot of money had a good week there. But, Jordan Love's kind of a little up and down, but he did enough for the situation. And going to Kay's comment, like that game for the Rams, and I think you even alluded to it a little bit, Fernando, it was a lot of positives, but they still lost, and nobody cares about positivity and more victories when you're 1-4. The D-line gets a lot of pressure. Kobe Turner finally stepped up. I kept saying, like, isn't Kobe Turner like this guy who's really hyped to replace Aaron Donald? It hasn't really done much. Well, he stepped up in that game. Byron Young has some pressure, I think, on that pick six to Jordan Love. So they have a good front, but they might have the worst secondary, and they might have the worst linebacker group there. So that defense is a problem. And then, like you mentioned with Xavier McKinney, yeah, Stafford's doing his best, but you don't have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp to punish guys like McKinney. So they're just really depleted. I'm not saying it's time to panic because I want to wait for the bye week. Maybe you get Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back. You play the Raiders. You play my Minnesota Vikings after that. You're able to maybe get a 2-game winning streak. It'll be hard against the Vikings, maybe, but you never know in the NFL. Then maybe they'll be alive. But it's just a lot of issues with the Rams. And one more point I wanted to make, Fernando, and going back to the NFC North, I looked it up today. The Packers lead the league in takeaways. I think 14. Yeah. Vikings are number 2, 13, and then number 3, the Chicago Bears at 11. The Lions don't have that kind of defense. So I wonder, like we've been talking about them, can they hold down all these teams in the NFC North?
Now, I'm going to be honest. The Bears haven't played like the teams that they've beaten are not very good teams. So, I mean, it's
Panthers, Rams, and Titans.
Titans. And that was the game that they gave up. That's when, by the way, I was laughing because like Vic texted, look at the Titans because they were up on the Bears, and then they turned around and Will Levis gave that game away. I know Vic is not a happy camper when it comes to Will Levis. That he's in he's on his list.
He wants him to start the whole year.
Yeah, exactly. So but just real quick, I mean, you have to honor the fight that the Rams are giving, but it just might be one of those years where maybe it sets up nice and maybe, I mean, you don't have that good of a season and you set yourself up for a good pick in the draft, and you have the next quarterback, Quinn Ewers or Beck. And I didn't like what I saw from Beck against Alabama, but still, like Gilbert's laughing. Why?
I'm waiting for you to say Shadur Sanders and like just say it already.
No.
He's going to the Raiders because he's hanging out with Mark Davis.
I've been telling you guys, that's where he's going. I don't even think Tom Telesco could stop that from happening.
Oh yeah, we'll get ready for celebration, especially in Vegas. That'd be pretty cool. But
I would ask our good friends over there and be like, hey, can we get like 10 minutes with him? I would love like just a cool sit down with him and just ask him about stuff. And then be like, hey, for the last 5 minutes, we're bringing on Dan and Dago to ask you questions.
Hey, why not? I will definitely. I don't know. I see a lot of those interviews on more about TikTok where people just ask these weird, strange questions. I think Dan will have way better interviews than those people.
Dude, like the other day when we had Chris on and we were talking about Jim Harbaugh, I asked Chris, what do you think of Dan and Dago? Like, because he knows Dan from outside of here, and he knows Dan and Dago, like he's been impacted by Dan and Dago, and he's like, if I could be honest, he's like, I'd love to see Jim Harbaugh and Dan like in an interview. He's like, but and even Chris said it. He's like, it would have to be in an ice bath, and them just talking one to the other, and them just having a conversation. I started laughing. I was like, dude, that actually would be a really cool interview. Just two coaches talking about ball, but yeah, the Rams could set themselves up nicely. And I know that obviously they've in the past F them picks and everything, but set yourself up like your future. You could have a good future with setting yourself up with a quarterback. Maybe what's his name doesn't come back, but then that next quarterback that comes back, Matthew Stafford may be gone, but then you set yourself up. Like, can you imagine a receiver having an older veteran of Cooper Kupp? You have Puka Nacua that's emerging. You have some nice weapons on this team. You have some good running backs, young running backs. They're still building that offensive line. Maybe this could be the point where you eject on the Matthew Stafford era. Maybe he goes somewhere else, or maybe he retires, and you've set yourself up to have a good interior line on the defensive side. You have a good interior or a good offensive line, some good receivers, some good running backs. You have a young quarterback that comes in. He could be good to go. I mean, that's kind of the mistake what the Bears have made, I think, with Caleb Williams, is that they're making him play behind an offensive line that's not very good, but they have great weapons.
Yeah.
Well, if the Rams could get him a great offensive line and those great weapons, and you're not paying him next to nothing, I mean, I think that that's definitely a huge plus for them.
Yeah, and that's to be the final thing on the Rams. I mean, we can move on, but I honestly think if it gets to that point, like you're saying, where they're losing, wave the white flag, and you get some picks, and you get through the season, I think Stafford will strongly consider retiring. Like, you got your Super Bowl, you've taken a beating, you've been on 2 teams already, And then you're seeing what Aaron Rodgers is trying to do with the New York Jets. Do you really want to do that and try something new with a new team? Like, just go into the sunset.
Yeah.
You got your Super Bowl.
By the way, the other day, Peter King, I know Peter King retired, but he says he still keeps in touch with the league and everything. Peter King was saying, let me get this asshole.
You know, we've made it when we got spam.
Yeah. Peter King was saying that he thinks that Matthew Stafford reminds him of Dan Fouts, but he actually got a ring. He's like, he reminds me a lot of Dan Fouts. He's like, his demeanor, the way he is, the hits that he's taken, and that he still got up and he still fought. He's like, that's not easy to do. He's like, the only difference is that he got his ring, and unfortunately Dan Fouts wasn't. And I was like, wow, that's a great comparison. That's why I like talking to old reporters, because old reporters really they put into perspective, and they give you guys, and they don't just go like, you hear people talk about now, and Matthew Stafford has all the gas and all this crap. No, like, do some constructive forms of analyzing. And I don't know. I've always liked Matthew Stafford, but when he came to the Rams, you're like, wow, maybe finally you have your opportunity to go and win what you deserve. I mean, there's times where I remember he could barely move on plays, and he would still quarterback sneak and run the football if he needed to, and he'd take big shots. But I'm glad he got his. But yeah, I agree with you. Maybe after this season, he's like, you know what? Let me just sit this one out. It's time for me to ride off into the sunset. I don't know if he'll be a Hall of Famer, but definitely interesting stuff there. All right, Gilbert. Real quick, Chargers coming back from their bye week. Robert, I think I saw Bosa, Slater were working off to the side. I don't know about Chark. And Alt, by the way, Alt was getting work at left tackle last week during their one practice on Wednesday, just in case if Slater doesn't come back, which I don't know. I would rather leave Alt at right tackle, let him learn the position that he's still doing, leave Trey Pipkins at right guard, the position that he's still learning and doing, and then Jamari Sawyer, just put him at left tackle. I didn't think he had a bad game at left tackle against the Chiefs. I thought he actually played decent. Just leave him there. Let those two guys figure out the positions that they're playing. Don't move the other two guys around. But again, I'm not Jim Harbaugh. I don't know what goes. Well, nobody knows what goes through that plan.
I guess the question is, like, if you do move all to left, is there a big drop off at right tackle, and that's why maybe you shouldn't do it? Yeah.
I didn't like what I saw from Trey Pipkins against the Chiefs. I mean, I didn't like that. I didn't like the guard that they chose for that Chiefs game. I was like, why? I get it. No Alt, no Rashawn Slater. I get it, but you could have gone with. Chark was okay. Chris Rim also said that Chark was working off to the side. But I just really think. I just really think that they need to. I think they kind of need to settle those guys down that are learning new positions. I don't see why you're going to switch them over and have them do other stuff. So. But yeah, I would just leave the offensive line like that, leave Sawyer at left tackle, and just go that way. I mean, Chris Jones annihilated Mustafa. Like, it was bad. Like, I felt bad for the guy too, because he just got elevated from the practice squad, and it's like, you have other players like Foster Sarrell, you have other guys. Like, why are you not playing them? So I don't know what went into that, but yeah, definitely. Definitely, Angel. If they're not giving Brendan Rice a chance, there has to be something. There is something like
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like everybody keeps on asking about it, but it's like they must not see something in him where they think, oh, he's ready to go in there and play right now. And I get it. Everybody's gonna say, well, Joshua Palmer hasn't made the most of his opportunity, neither has so and so or so and so. But the coaching staff must really think that there's something where they think he needs to mature more, or they think that he needs to get better before they throw him out there. So yeah,
he's kind of giving me KJ Hill vibes, where everybody got excited about Ohio State product.
But every year, yeah, I'll say it. Yeah. Every year, there's a lot of fan reporter, quote unquote, people that get fans hyped up about certain players, and it's like
pom-pom reporting. I got it.
And I'm like, relax. Like, no, you have to wait to see what happens. Who was it? Michael Bandy was one. There's been a lot of guys that in the past people have gotten excited about, like, And I remember a couple of years ago, way back when it was Dante Pettis, everybody was so excited and they're like, Dante Pettis, this, that. And I'm like, whoa, like relax a little bit, like wait to see. And who was the guy in 2021? He got cut like halfway through because he like missed a meeting, but I just can't remember who the receiver was. There was one receiver that everybody thought was doing so well, and everybody's like, he's gonna make history.
Is it Tyler for something Johnson? And it's not Tyler Johnson, but I'm blanking.
I can't remember his name, but everybody thought he was going to make the roster. No, not T Billy or whatever.
Yeah. Who played for the Raiders a little bit.
No. There was but he's a perfect example.
Yeah,
he had one great season, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at him! He's so good! He's so good!" He goes elsewhere, and he doesn't really. I mean, he did something against the Chargers in that 2021 game, but other than that, he really didn't do much after that. But no, there was another receiver. I just can't remember. He was more on the lighter side, and everybody kind of like he was white. He was a white receiver, but everybody got really and yeah, they were really enamored with him. I just can't remember what his name was, and everybody thought that he was going to make the roster. But no, it wasn't Tyron Johnson. It was like Tyron Johnson was good in 2020, and then he didn't make the roster. They cut him, but there was somebody in 2021 that or 2022 everybody got really excited about, and he ends up not making the roster, and everybody's like, why?
All those guys, kind of played to make Ladd McConkey a thing, like Michael Bandy and that guy we can't name. Now you're Ladd McConkey. There you go.
Ladd McConkey, I mean, that touchdown that Herbert threw to him in the back of the end zone against Denver, I was like, Kansas City, I was like, damn, like that was a great catch. They need to get him going more, but the defense, I think they're on a good side. On the offensive side, by the way, I was telling Dan, I was like, everybody's going to get like thinking, oh, the Chargers are going to go get Amari Cooper or one of these receivers. Imagine if this fool goes not this fool, sorry, Mr. Harbaugh goes out and gets like a offensive lineman or a guard or a tackle or not a tackle, a guard or a center. Everybody's gonna be like, but that's actually what they need. They need more interior help. I just don't know if they're gonna go get it or what, but I just don't know if they're gonna make. What do you think? Amari Cooper does sound really fascinating. He's basically on a 1 year. He's only counts for 900,000. Deontay Johnson's another one. I just don't know.
The one thing I'll take away, I know it's hard to kind of gauge his new regime, but the one thing to take about from Joe Ortiz, he comes from the Baltimore kind of program, and they don't really like make these kind of splash moves. They don't really kind of panic. They just go with the flow. They trust the process. They trust the draft picks. And even when the Ravens got Derrick Henry, it felt like out of the norm for the Ravens. So if he still kind of operates like that, I don't see him making like a big splash move. But yeah, Cooper could fill the void. But I'm with you. I think really focus on the offensive line and getting that going, because maybe it's okay to go through these growing pains with these wide receivers. If they, like you said many times, Fernando, if these guys don't grow and show flashes of being good for next year, then you go ahead and you pay somebody else, or you draft somebody else, because you stuck to the plan of the long-term vision of having a healthy salary cap. That's what they did when they took over Telesco. So even in the short term, a game like the Broncos coming up, you're going to have a Surtain covering these wide receivers. The passing game might not be any good against that secondary. So you better have good running lanes. You get better block for the running backs like J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards to kind of, have that game going. A little preview right there for what's up boats. But interior offensive line matters for running lanes like that and blocking in the running game. So I say they stick to the long-term vision there. But you never know. Maybe they'll win those 2 games there with the Broncos and the Cardinals. And you know what? We're 4-2. Let's go ahead and make a splash move, because it is still kind of ways away. Well, I guess November 5th is not that far away, but they have a full month to assess.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that they still have, like you said, they still have a while before they can do anything. I can tell the frustration from the fans, but everything's going to start with the offensive line and what they're able to do with it. I mean, I just wonder what these guys are going to be able to muster up, because they do need help. I mean, they need a lot of help on the, and I get it. And fans are going back to we don't have Keenan Allen anymore and Mike Williams. Like, yeah, but you have to make do with what you need. Guys to step up. Josh Palmer needs to step up. Quentin Johnston, in his own way, has kind of stepped up, and he's had some moments, but it's just about kind of taking advantage of the opportunity and trying to do something with it. And unfortunately, Palmer is one of those guys. I just don't know what DJ Chark is going to be able to give you, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I don't know how
really much want him to save the day.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I just don't know if he's going to be able to, if he's going to be able to give you a boost. Like, I really don't
Stick
know.
with
And
McConkey and Quentin Johnson and even Palmer to a degree. Is he a free agent next year, Fernando? 21, 22,
Palmer
23?
is,
Yeah.
and
So maybe you
there's
could kind of cast them off a little bit because maybe you're not committed to the guy. But Johnson and McConkey, they're early in their contracts. You draft the McConkey, make those two guys the focal point, and then you figure out the third. Maybe DJ Shark.
yeah. I mean, well, I still think they're going to go out and get somebody in free. They have to go get somebody in free agency.
That was makes me feel like you're not going to commit to Palmer. You're not going to bring him back. You're going to get somebody else. Go ahead and try something else, like a veteran that you're brought in.
I do believe somebody. I don't know if you saw, somebody tweeted out. What was his name? Fehilco. Braden Fehilco tweeted out during the Chargers Chiefs game. He put, "This is how important. This game just shows you how important Corey Linsley was to the operation in LA." And I'm like, he's right. Like, Corey Linsley is hugely missed on this. By the way, real quick, and then we'll jump into some other quick things quickly. Hola, compas. Mimsy, how are you? She's like, so we're out of contention for Devontae Adams. Yeah.
Same division.
By the way, I saw a fan tweet out, what if we gave them, who did he say? Easton Stick, and there was another player. What if we trade him Easton Stick and this other player? I can't remember who it was. And Telesco sends us Devontae Adams, and I started laughing. I'm like, that was actually a good one. I'm like, I get that. Yeah, no, Robert, I don't think it's looking good for him. Uncle Jam's Army, a 4th rounder for Amari Cooper wouldn't be bad. It's just about, are they willing to bring in a guy midway through the season and let him adjust? But I mean, Herbert, I think, is good enough to be able to mush up with somebody and be able to get it quickly, especially with a guy like him. Yeah, our compa from Chile, Linsley had a heart issue, so that is the reason why he had to retire. So yeah, that was a bad deal right there.
It might draft one pretty high, but yeah, sorry.
You said what?
Draft a center pretty high next year, maybe.
Yeah, well, a lot of fans were kind of mad that they didn't go center this year, but I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Like, all the spots that they got were basically guys that they needed. Gilbert, let's go real quick over to your Houston Texans beating the Buffalo Bills 23-20. Gilbert, on the final drive, where Josh Allen was backed up in his own 5, they threw it 5 straight times, gave the ball back to Houston. Houston brings it back. They're able to kick a field goal to win the game. Is that as bad of time management, clock management as you have seen? 1, 2. What do you think the Buffalo Bills look like right now?
Yeah, I try not to be too harsh when I write in my columns for SI.com. I know people think I'm very harsh here on the show when I go Gilberto, but I called it going for 3 incompletions in that moment. I just flat out stupid. It was done from the coaching staff, and I could take a 1 shot from the 3-yard line, your own 3-yard line, because you're the team that suffered in 13 seconds against those Chiefs. How about that, Angel? The Chiefs, remember that game where the Chiefs beat the Bills in 13 seconds in the playoffs? So the Bills probably felt that, let's kind of throw it out there. Incompletion, nothing. At that point, run the football twice, kill the clock, go to overtime, because you had no business being in that game. The Texans looked like they were kind of fading because without Nico Collins, by the way, that team couldn't do anything. And that Bills defense, which is not good, got bailed out without Nico Collins. And Nico Collins lit him up, then he kind of hurt his hamstring. But what are you doing there? Throwing the ball 3 times. I get Joe Brady's a play caller, but you're the head coach, Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott, for some reason, has really good days and really, really bad days. And after a while, don't you get tired of this here? And we could probably get to the Bills eventually, but the Bills feel like pretenders to me. They're in a kind of so-so division. They'll probably win the division, go to the playoffs, get smacked in the first round or second round, whatever it is. But they don't have talent. They don't have good coaching. And Josh Allen completing 30% of their passes in 30 attempts. So that's the old Josh Allen. It makes you feel like Stephon Diggs was the one that helped them out become an MVP caliber quarterback. So it was a brutal day there. But I'm sure you got thoughts too, Fernando. I thought it was just plain stupid to go for it 3 times with passes from the back of your own end zone.
Yeah, I would have. I mean, and right now, Texans did have 3 timeouts. I get it, but I just wouldn't have. I would have done something. I mean, I don't know what you can do in that situation. What yesterday showed me though is, if I was the Bills, I would go get Devontae Adams. I would try.
Yeah, Shakir going down really hurt Josh Allen.
Yeah, so I really think they need to go get Devontae Adams. I think they need to go. They need to place a call to the Raiders. By the way, 2nd round pick is too much, but at least a third should be able to
if
get
you're
it for
Mark
you.
Davis, where you screwed up so many things, Mark
I
Davis,
know.
you better hold out for that second round pick. Go as long as you can. Somebody's going to cave. Somebody needs a wide receiver. The Bills, the Ravens, obviously the Jets, a bunch of teams might need even the Rams might cave. Who knows? But I'm with you on getting
The
Devontae.
Rams?
Who knows? They like to go for it, and sometimes
I'd be
I don't know.
surprised.
But I'm just saying, there's a
No,
healthy.
I get it. I
Devontae
get
out
it.
there.
I get it.
And
Yeah,
if they just cave and roll over to the Jets, man, Mark Davis, it's time to look in the mirror. You're the problem.
If Joe Ortiz called them and said, "We're willing to give you a second round pick,"
if they're the only team, maybe you do it. But yeah,
I'd love to see that bluff being called. I would actually be interested. They wouldn't do it, but I'd still be interested to see about that. But
real quick, I'm glad you're mentioning that maybe not a second round pick, because people get so fascinated with trade proposals, thinking, oh yeah, like especially Raider fans, like, oh, first round pick and Garrett Wilson. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, look at the contract and what he needs and the age, and then like all the other fans, the team saying we'll get Devontae for peanuts, and don't look at your salary cap. There's just a lot that goes into it, and that's why it's kind of a haul to get a second round pick for Mark Davis, who could maybe get it for somebody desperate, but he's going to end up getting maybe a third round pick and a fifth round pick in the future. Like, look at the Stephon Diggs trade. He didn't get that much either.
Well, and then you need to talk to to Devontae about restructuring that contract, and what are the Raiders willing? Yeah. What are the Raiders willing to? What are the Raiders willing to do? How much are they willing to take on from that contract? So there's a lot that goes into this. So I am interested. Supposedly, according to I think it was. No, I can't. The Athletic, they said that within in the next 48 hours, they expect Devontae Adams to be traded. But now, if you're Aaron Rodgers, do you go to the Jets and say, hey, this is BS. Like, you need to go get Devontae Adams, bring him. That pass to Mike Williams was horrendous.
Yeah, and put up Nick's comment, by the way. It's actually get Mike Williams back in the trade.
I bet he does. I bet he would want him.
I didn't say all that, Jorge. But good to see you, Jorge.
But just and I think, by the way, I did see that ESPN reported that the Raiders and the Chiefs would be interested in Mike Williams if they trade for Devontae Adams, Mike Williams might be on there. So I'm just wondering what's going to happen when it comes to what's going to happen with Devontae Adams. But I'm really interested, because there's a lot of dynamics happening. But if I'm the Bills, I would call and be like, dude, we need a guy like Devontae Adams. What are you guys willing to do? I know that they have a lot of money. They've spent a lot of money.
Well, that's the one problem.
Jorge, I'd be very surprised if Mike Williams went back to the Chargers, to be honest. I don't see the Chargers trading.
They could use him.
Actually, no, they could.
Yeah, you're right. But
I think if they wanted anybody, it'd be more Keenan Allen than Mike Williams,
who actually made a difference, what I thought, for Caleb Williams. But going back to the Bills real quick, Fernando, their problem is that they try to pull a fast one by trying to fix the salary cap with Josh Allen being on the second contract. They got rid of a lot of players. They wanted to repair the contract. They went the cheaper route, and they're getting exposed now for the lack of depth, talent, and inexperience. So if you go for Devontae, you go away from that plan. If you're Brandon Beane, you're saying, oh, I really screwed up in the offseason for trying to get cheap and trying to fix the cap. So if they do that, that's a total shift in the vision he had. And maybe what does that say about you as a GM, where you're kind of not able to think long term and in the current?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that's the thing. That's what happens when you go the cheap route, and unfortunately, it didn't bode well for them. But I mean, we'll see what happens with them. But I just thought that the Bills yesterday, they were missing some element to them, and I really feel like a trade for Devontae Adams would help. Hell, maybe a trade for Amari Cooper might be a big difference too. But you could tell Stephon Diggs really wanted to win that game. Like, he was really pushing hard, and after the game, he spoke to the media. Gilbert, he didn't speak to us. Yeah, he didn't speak to us late in the season last year, but this time he spoke to the media, and he decided to let them know, hey, yeah, no, obviously you want to beat your former team and blah, blah, blah. But I was like, all right, we get it. Gilbert, just real quick, what was your takeaway from this week?
Yeah, I had a couple things here, and I know the Commanders haven't had the most daunting schedule, but I'm starting to buy in. And I know you're going to tell me to hold on Jaden Daniels. It's not just Jaden Daniels, Fernando. And maybe I could get away with this with a little overreaction, because I've been saying the whole offseason, this team is better. And I'm kicking myself for not making them one of my favorite surprise teams because I had a bunch of them, and it's just I really like what they did. Obviously, getting rid of the old owner was the biggest kind of piece of the puzzle. But then you got a good GM and Adam Peters who had that background with John Lynch and with the San Francisco 49ers. You bring in Dan Quinn who has experience. You bring in Cliff, who we're worried about that little signing there because of his issues with the Cardinals, but he's fitting that scheme for Jaden Daniel. But I like the moves that they made on defense. They got like 3 or 4 good edge rushers, no star power, but they were very not, I shouldn't say cheap signings, but signings that if they don't go right, they won't screw you over for 3 years. But they're quality players right away. Bobby Wagner doesn't get old. Frankie Louisville, the linebacker. Doris Armstrong being one of the edge rushers. So they have a complete team there, and now the scheme is just really working. So I'll say this about maybe in terms of looking ahead for the Commanders, they have a strong chance of winning the NFC East division. I think the Eagles have some issues. The Cowboys were lucky to get that 4th and goal touchdown, by the way. That was wild that they got that in there, making me almost go back on the Cowboys bandwagon, but I won't go that far. I'm on the Commanders bandwagon. But that's a winnable division. And the one I want to talk about the most is, I'll give you credit here, Fernando, when everybody was saying, how do you say his last name? Terry Fontenot, the GM of the Falcons. You're an idiot for paying Kirk Cousins. You're a bigger idiot for drafting Michael Penix Jr. When you know what Fernando said? No, I like this move. I like both of the moves here. I think having 2 quarterbacks for the future in the present, this is me doing your voice, is a smart move. And that I guess thinking really kind of showed on that Thursday night thriller. Was it a thriller, Fernando? 36-30 against the Buccaneers in overtime. Kirk Cousins lining up. Not in Kirk Cousins got 509 yards, but the way he got the ball to Drake London, the way he got Kyle Pitts to contribute, the way he got Darnell Mooney to contribute, just that passing attack that had Desmond Ridder, Taylor Heineke, no offense, back up for the Chargers, and Marcus Mariota the last 2 years, for Kirk Cousins to do that and take off in the current situation for the Falcons, said a lot there. And then for the future, you set up with Michael Penix Jr. But even the coaching staff, when everybody said, go get Bill Belichick, and they went and got Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson, they're doing well. They have a good offense with a good defense. So I think people were too harsh on the Falcons, myself included. But you, Fernando, take a victory lap because I know it was one game, but the present and the future looks pretty bright for the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, and I thought Baker Mayfield had a hell of a game as well. Like they both just battled back and forth. But Kirk fed everybody that night. So I definitely agree. I'm going to go the other route. I'm going to go with the Browns, the 49ers, and the Raiders are all in trouble. The Raiders got blown out by Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. That's not a good look, especially when you had beaten them so many years in a row. I was really surprised by that, and I couldn't believe that. So just a bad look. And then the Raiders are about to get rid of Devontae Adams. I wasn't a fan of Max Crosby kind of calling out Michael Lombardi. Like that to me was a little bit like
I didn't see that like recently.
So yeah, he said so after the game he kind of called him out. There was an issue about he said that he said on the Pat McAfee show that Max Crosby should have gone to the Cleveland Browns game, or no, the game. Yeah, he should have been there for the Cleveland Browns game. A lot of back and forth, and obviously these guys listen, and Max kind of called them out. Obviously, certain individual wrote a story about how a failed GM talked about a Raider, and I'm like, get the flipping heck out of here.
I love the headline, the clickbait.
Yeah,
headline.
I was like, this is so
and also
dumb.
a little bit of Homer-ish, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh God. But the 49ers, holy crap, you cannot close a game to save your life. And that's 2 weeks in a row. You got beaten down by the Vikings. Like they do not look good right now. And I don't know what's going to be able to save them. I don't even think Christian McCaffrey could save that. Like coming back.
They're running the football with Jordan Mason. That's not the problem.
Yeah, it's not the problem. It's their mentality. And they just shut it off at one point. And they're kind of like, oh, we've done enough. We're good. And the defense doesn't look good. They can't get any pressure. Even though Kyler Murray threw some of the dumbest interceptions I've ever seen, they still couldn't get it together. So, by the way, I did like his tweet today where he was talking crap about the haters, and he's like, Call of Duty, I'm like, there he goes.
You trolls got me the bag and the sponsorship of Call of Duty.
Yeah, so I love it.
You're a part of that, by the way.
I know, for real. So I thought that was actually pretty funny. But yeah, going back to the 49ers, I mean, they're just not good. So the 49ers.
You think it's time to panic, or you want to say?
I would panic. What
Well, I
we're
guess
playing
to
the Seahawks this Thursday. A
Okay.
couple of guys are going to be injured, so I'm just
So if they lose that game, are you saying that
they need to do something? I don't know what it is, but they need to do something. And then lastly, the Browns. Holy crap, Deshaun Watson looks terrible. And I think Stefanski said, "Oh no, we're sticking with Deshaun Watson." I'm like, yeah, you can't have a freaking $50 million quarterback just sitting on the bench cashing in money. So yeah, and then the Browns defense looks shaky. Like, if I was them, why don't you just make Mike Vrabel the defensive coordinator? You already have him there. Fire the dude and make him the defensive coordinator and see if he can maybe get this defense going. But I know I'm empty. I'm sorry. I apologize. It just slipped out. But yeah, Jorge, you got me.
Baseball players, that's why.
I know. You're not kidding. They throw it around more than they throw it around more than football players do. So that is surprising. But yeah, Browns, Raiders, 49ers, you're in trouble, and the 49ers are more in trouble than anybody else because they're Super Bowl contenders, and they look like, by the way, that division is wide open, but Seattle and Arizona kind of look like they might be in more control of that division than even the 49ers.
My Cardinals might steal that division. They beat the Rams already, and they beat the
49ers.
They're good in the NFC West, all right?
The 49ers gave them that game. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what are you guys doing?
They were terrible on the rest, by the way, and they lost their kicker too.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So they had to go for it on fourth down. Some of the play calling, though, I was like, what? But yeah, just that's a good alter ego. Fernando's the best. Jeez.
Oh, but when I have an alter ego as a heel, people don't like it. Come on.
No, I love it. I love when you go to heel. And Dan loves it as well. He loves when you do that. Gilbert, who do you have tonight?
Surprisingly, I am one of the few people that took the Saints. There you go. Take that, everybody who thinks I'm a big Chiefs fan or homer.
Really?
I just like the theme of going with underdogs, and it's been working for me. I'm so far I'm 8-5, and I'll take that for this week. If I go 9-5, that's better than most people who keep going with favorites, and I hate people going with favorites. So why not? And Monday Night Football has some upsets every now and then. Not last week where I got screwed over with the stupid Seahawks.
I almost made a freaking favorite yesterday.
Favor?
Cincinnati, I couldn't believe that they ran the ball when Jamar Chase and T. Higgins couldn't be stopped. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, so I'm
mad at myself for not picking the Cardinals against the 49ers. I should have done whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs.
I know. Dan was pissed at the Raiders. He picked the Raiders over the Broncos. I'm like, no, something tells me the Broncos.
Was that one of our picks for the show? I got the Broncos right. Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. But all right. Thank you guys so much for checking out another episode of Lunes Live with the Compas. I can give you some time tomorrow for B2B, and if you want to do a quick comeback, Compas, I don't know if you want to. Well, we should talk about it off. Well, okay, I can just tell you the game doesn't start till 6. I could give you like 4:30 to 5:15 if you wanted to maybe do it.
Let's talk.
We'll talk about it off air. My bad. I shouldn't have brought it up on air, but I might be able to give you a couple minutes for that. So, and I know this is your week, so I know you're excited about that fight. I know you want to talk about it, so I don't want to.
Yeah, why not? Let's talk about it, and and your week too. But all right, get us out of here, Fernando.
All right. Football. We appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Again, I will be, for all you Padre fans out there, I will be covering the Padres series. So make sure you guys check out Twitter and my Instagram. I'll have a bunch of cool stuff from out there. What fight? Oh, Jorge, we're talking about Beaterby versus Bivol on Saturday.
It's not for the casual fan, but if you like boxing in any kind of way, you better watch this damn fight. I think it's on ESPN Plus, but you can always find other ways to watch it.
By the way, I was in the locker room and I'm doing a story on Manny Machado, and one of the players, I go up to him like, "Hey, is there any way I could get you?" And then he goes, he sprays himself with cologne, and I inhaled all that. So right now I could just smell the cologne. It's a lot more expensive cologne than I have, but damn, I was like, all right, I can taste it at the tip of my tongue.
Well, go watch it now. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thank you guys so much. Make sure you guys tune in. Make sure you guys hit the notification button so that you guys know when we go live. Again, appreciate you guys so much. Everybody that commented, you guys are amazing. We will be back soon to a normal schedule. Thank you guys so much for being patient with me. This is actually a really cool dream of mine to cover playoff baseball, so it's actually pretty fun to be doing this. So thank you everybody for being patient. Gilbert, ¿sabes qué? Vámonos.
Gilberto, Gilberto, that's my name, and that's Fernando Juan Ramirez, not Alejandro. But let's get out of here on to week 5, and I see a touchdown. All right, nos vamos pues, vámonos. I think the Chiefs, but it could be a flag somewhere. But yeah, we'll see. All right, bye.